Hey everybody, welcome back to another weekly market review for F45 Trading. This week is May 4th to Friday, May 8th. What a week we've got on tap here. So we've got lots of news that you guys need to be aware of. We've got some yen holidays, Japanese holidays coming up on Sunday and on Monday, so just watch for that if you are a yen trader. We've got European economic forecasts coming out Monday, tentatively scheduled for right now, so I'm not sure when those will drop, but just be aware of that. We've got Australian dollar cash rate and rate statements. They're not predicting right now on, obviously, Forex Factory that they're going to, well, certainly not going to raise them, but drop rates for the time being. So we shouldn't see too much of an anomaly on the Australian dollar charts, but be careful of that as well. Never a good idea to be trading while these interest rate statements are coming out for the particular currency. So just as an FYI, that is going at 12:30 a.m. New York time on Tuesday, May 5th, right in the morning. We've got lots of news for the rest of the day on Tuesday. Tuesday is going to be a busy day. Trade balance for the Canadian dollar. We've got ISM non-manufacturing for the US dollar, and we've got another Japanese yen bank holiday as well. So 1, 2, 3 days for the yen, they will be off. Wednesday, we've got ADP non-farm employment change for the US dollar and trade balance for Aussie. So we're obviously getting into non-farm week here. It is the, I'm actually surprised they didn't do it last week on Friday. But they are reserving it for this week on Friday, May 8th, first week of the month, first full week of the month. And so it's going to be, markets are going to trend fairly decently. Obviously now, at the time of this recording, it is Sunday open. As always, I do these reports at the open of the market after it's traded for a few hours. And then... oh, sorry, I just really lost my train of thought there for a second. But we've got the NFP trading on Friday. So markets, like I was saying earlier, are going to, yeah, that's what I was saying. The time of this recording, it is Sunday. So they're going to be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Usually pretty decent ranges, and you get some fairly trending markets, and you get a lot of opportunities to trade those and some fairly high probability trades that you usually can look forward to. Anything after that, going into Thursday and Friday, it's usually a lot less probability, and especially into Thursday, we've got, for the GBP pairs, lots of high impact news events for GBP. We've got official bank rates, monetary policy summary, etc., etc. So lots of stuff going on Thursday. So if you are a GBP trader, any of the cross pairs, keep an eye on this. It is going to get pretty wild on that pair. I got some ideas on this as well too, of where they're going to head it, but for now, just keep this in mind. And then Friday, obviously, we've got French bank holidays. We've got the UK. We've got a bank holiday. Canadian dollar employment change and unemployment rate. And look at this unemployment rate for the Canadian dollar. Unbelievable. Previous at 7.8%, and we're looking at 20% unemployment rate. The Canadian dollar is going to get crushed in every sense of the word when these numbers come out, if this is the actual number. So keep an eye on that. And what else do we have here? Yeah, like we're going from 1 million to 5 million. I mean, if you can believe that, it's unbelievable. Anyway, and then we've got obviously US dollar hourly average hourly earnings, and then the big one, NFP, and then unemployment rate. Look at the unemployment rate for the US dollar, 16%. And as I was saying to you guys, when we started getting into all of this whole isolation and closing everything down, the numbers for all the employment rates are usually delayed by the official numbers by about a full month of reporting. So just FYI, this is reporting last month's. So, you know, again, going forward into June, these numbers aren't going to get any better. So pretty huge. So the US dollar is going to get shaken loose. So just in every sense of the word. So it's going to be pretty crazy on Friday. So just watch for that. Anyway. Okay, all that being said, here we are at the US dollar. We're in a range, and we're going to stay in this range until we get something to jostle it loose, i.e., maybe what's coming down the pipeline on Friday. I don't know. It's going to take some pretty significant news to get it out of this range, but we've been trading in here since the end of basically all of April. So the entire month of April and the first day of May, we have been trading in a fairly tight range. So last week we did, in fact, on this chart here, your charts may be saying something different depending on the broker. Obviously, you can see the daily bodies of the candles failed to close lower than this low here, which was a little bit disappointing. I was wanting to see this below here, but nonetheless, we did get the wicks that traded below. You can see this wick here traded, the low was at 98.76, and the low here was 98.81, so it traded lower that by about 5 pips. So nice to see. We took out the low there. Now we're on our way back up. I want to see what happens when we get to this 99.50 level. So ultimately, the thing of it is all of these employment numbers that are coming out on Friday, you can see these numbers. This is going to be massive, right? I mean, this is going to be massive. It's going to be huge all across the board. That can't be good for the US dollar any way you look at it. Now, we have equal highs up here, obviously, that I mentioned to you guys, and I thought when we're rolling up into here, we're going to eventually take that. Didn't do it, rolled over it, now we came back down. We're in this range. I think those employment numbers are going to shake this thing loose. How crazy volatile does it get? Could it shoot up here this week, take these stops out here? Could it shoot lower, take these stops out here? Absolutely. I mean, both areas are fair game, in my opinion. You got to look at a few of the determining factors here, though, what we're looking at. So one, obviously, the U.S. Fed is releasing unprecedented amounts of, ungodly amounts of cash into the economy. They're pumping it everywhere, right from, I mean, it's helicopter money. And you've heard me say this before. If you don't understand what helicopter money is, go onto YouTube and just Google that. And there's a couple of excellent documentaries on exactly what that is, how it all works, and what the resulting factor is. Check out a couple of very well-known economists, get their opinions on it. Do your own research on this, guys. Don't just rely on me. But listen to this as I tell you that the U.S. dollar is going to go through a period of deflation here in the next little while. Is it going to happen next week? No. Is it going to happen next month? No. Could it happen by the end of this year? Absolutely. They're just printing money so much that eventually what's going to happen is it's going to lead to deflation in the dollar. When that happens, it's going to be game over. It's going to get ugly. And, I mean, that little blip in the stock market and the S&P rate, wherever it was in here, I think this little blip in the S&P is going to be a very minor blip compared to what we could see here in the next little while. And it's all going to lead, this is going to be the leading factor, I believe. But anyway, that being said, I think for this week ahead, I want to see what happens when price gets up to 99.50, and price was very, very well traded down here. If we go above 99.50, I think what they could want to do is stretch for the highs for the week just to clear the liquidity above it. Are they going to go higher than that? I don't think they will. Again, we could be getting above here. If we go above 99.50, I think my eyes are going to go above these two equal highs here. And what I mean by I don't think they're going to go much higher than that is I don't think they're going to get back up into this range. Unless, again, they start pumping a ton of money into the stock markets and really valuing it up and people get some confidence again. But right now, I just don't see this thing going too much higher than that. Right now. Again, this is an area that has never happened with the history of the US dollar, so it's really anybody's guess. So keeping that in mind, I think the chances of this thing pushing down are greater than it's going to push higher. Okay, but I want to watch this 99.50 level. What I'd like to see is them hit this level up in here and then reject and come lower. Very, very efficiently traded down through this area here. The only reason I think it would need to go back above 99.50 would be to climb right back up into here and take out these highs here. And then maybe we'll see it roll over. But again, I think we're going to probably see this level come into play here in probably the next about 12 hours, probably by New York Open. Going into Monday, we'll see them back up into this area here, and then we'll see sort of what they want to do. My hunch is they're probably going to roll it over, and in which case I'll be targeting this low and this low for the week. And by NFP Friday, again, I don't know. Now, what they could be doing is they could take it above 99.50 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and get up into here, and then Friday sink the market. So that could play out. I'm kind of playing both sides because, again, we're banging around in this range. And so typically when you're in a range-bound trading like this, it's very simple. You buy the lows, you sell the highs. And that's really all there is to it. So right now, again, I want to see what happens if we go above 99.50. If we get above here, I'm going to target these highs here. If we fail to get above 99.50 and it just does not want to go any higher, then I believe it is going to be a green light to get short, and we'll look at this low here and this low here to get run out this week. Okay? So EurUSD, I'm going to try and keep this short as possible. EurUSD, basically the same thing. We had a run on stops, a bigger run on stops than what the US dollar did. See here, just a couple of pips here. Under that low. EurUSD obviously had a nice deep run above it. Again, very similar area. I'm looking for price to come down into here, into Monday, Tuesday's trading, 108.80, 80.90, you know, somewhere in around there. I think would be a fairly realistic number that it's going to come down into. I want to see what happens there. If we go below this level and get back into this range here, I think there's a good chance, again, we're going to come back this way here. But look what the euro did, right? It's actually expanding beyond the constrictions of the current consolidation that it's in. And what I mean by that, it's taking out the lows and taking out the highs. Took out the low here, right under that low. Just took out the high here above that high. Whereas the US dollar, it's not doing that. It's staying within its ranges for the most part here. And again, depending on what your broker is telling you, that could be a lot different from on everybody's platform. So that's why I say definitely different than this chart here. So we've got this high up here. So if we fail to go above this level here on euro and we start to see a little bit of support in this area, I'm going to be looking for price to run up here to finish off the end of the week. This would be the ideal scenario. This is what I want to see happen. If we fail to go, if price falls below 108.90 and we start trading back into this consolidation range, I think price is going to remain heavy and we could come down and sweep below this low here going into Friday, and possibly even this low here if they really want to start moving the market. So, but notice the difference here between EurUSD and GbpUsd. So we've had a fairly nice range last week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of last week, big push up, whereas GBP, we had 2 nice days up, Wednesday, Thursday, but Friday failed to go any higher. As you can see, EurUSD, we took out the highs here, versus cable failed to take out the high. High here comes in at 126.46. High on Friday came in at 126.43, so they missed it by 3 pips. So I'll find that very, very interesting. Now, we had the main culprit is because EuroGBP had this massive push up, and obviously EuroGBP higher equals EurUSD higher, possibly the opposite in cable, and that's exactly what we saw. We saw a big run lower on GbpUsd. So what do we do from here? Again, we're still right in the middle of this range. I mean, the middle of this range is basically, and I'll drop a line on it, is, without having to get out a fib, is for all intents and purposes right in and around this range here. We're right back at the 50% range. If we go below the low on Thursday, so the low on Thursday came in at 124.28, so you could call it 124.25. If we go below that level there, then I think there's a very good chance we could come under here and maybe under here and get into this range here that I was talking about when price was coming down here a couple of weeks ago. If they stay above that, which I think is going to happen, if we stay above that, I think there's a good shot that we're going to run and take out these highs. I would like to see these highs get run this week and this range here filled up. From there, do we get back up into this range here and possibly challenge these highs? We'll have to worry about that after this gets taken out, because you got to see how price reacts in this area. If it comes up in here, rejects, and the body of the candle doesn't close above those 2 highs, then probably going to come lower, at least for the time being. Maybe not under here or anything like that, but not very bullish for continuation patterns higher. So we got to see how things react up in here if that's what it does. But it all hinges on, again, that line in the sand right here, 124. I'll just move this right to it, 124.25, right about there. That's the level that I'm looking at. If we can stay above that level there, then I think there's a good chance that this high here will get taken out. If it doesn't and it gives way, then I believe we'll be looking at this low here. So again, we're going to find out in the next couple of days. Be forewarned though, do not be trading cable going into Thursday. I think Thursday could really whipsaw it. I mean, you know, after the news comes out, sure, do your thing, do what you got to do. Before the news comes out, you probably want to avoid GBP pairs like the plague, because it's probably going to get pretty volatile. Lots of stuff coming out on that guy. And again, if you just jumping in and skipped ahead, again, we've got monetary policy reports, we've got official bank rate votes, we've got monetary policy summary, and we've got the official bank rate. Now, again, they're not planning on any changes in the official lending rate, but that could change in a big hurry. They could surprise you, which the U.S. just came out with a surprise rate adjustment here a month and a half ago, and you saw what that did to the markets. So, okay, Euro GBP again. If we go lower on Euro GBP, that is bullish for GbpUsd. That's what I'm hoping is going to happen. We had a big surge up in here on Friday. I'd like to see price roll off. Now we could come in and just trade right back up into the consolidation level in here. So I'm going to drag this out in here. Very good chance we could see price trade up into here. We've got a couple of relatively equal highs in here that price may want to run above, and then that would take us sort of up into that area. When it gets up there, if it gets up there, that's what I want to see. That's what I'd like to see. Excuse me. When it gets up here, I'd like to see what price is going to do. Does it want to keep surging above these levels here? If so, then it's very possible then that they may want to come back and try to clean up these highs here. And I'm not sure why this line is sitting here, but I'll borrow that for a minute. So again, if price comes back above this consolidation range here, then I think there's a chance that we could run out these highs here. If that happens, GbpUsd is going to go much, much lower. I think we're going to be down below in these areas here if that happens. Okay, so watch this guy here, and it should give you a clue as to what EurUsd and what GbpUsd are going to do. UsCad, going to this next one here, another pair, like I was mentioning to you, that has a lot of heavy news, high-impact news events coming out this week, and employment numbers that are not looking very rosy at all. This is going to weaken the Canadian dollar, which in turn will probably push this higher. But if the US dollar really starts to fall off, more so than what the Canadian dollar is going to do, because again, they're both coming up with some crazy news, then we could see this pair run lower. Now, the only thing that would strengthen this pair, and just to clarify, I'm talking about the Canadian dollar being strengthened, the Canadian dollar's futures contract in particular. If that goes higher, then this pair will go lower. If the futures contract goes lower, then this will go higher. Okay, UsCad will go higher. So hopefully I've made that clear. Crude oil will obviously affect this as well. So if there's weakness in the crude oil market, you're going to see higher prices on UsCad because it's going to weaken the Canadian dollar futures contract. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So we could see continued upside on UsCad. We hit a pretty major level in here, and again, this thing was bucking higher. We had 3 huge up days on UsCad last week, up to just about 300 pips as the US dollar was dropping. So look what the US dollar did all last week, was cascading lower rapidly. Not UsCad. That was doing something completely different. So again, this could be affected very heavily by crude oil prices that were dropping lower last week. Well, I mean, for the most part, it was kind of in a bit of a range last week. But still overall very, very weak prices, and Canadian dollar is very heavily tied to the crude oil output. And so obviously if the price of crude oil is lower, it's going to affect the Canadian economy, thereby, ergo, affecting the price of the Canadian dollar. So anyway, that doesn't help what we're looking at here. So is it going to go higher? Is it going to go lower? I'd like to see USCAD, for the most part, come back and trade lower into this range here. What we do from there, we could spring higher or we could dump lower. I don't know. We're going to have to wait for the numbers to come out. But if we stay above this candle rate there, very good chance we're going to pop higher. But I believe we're going to probably trade lower into Sunday, Monday, and into Tuesday. We're looking about 100 pips lower into there. I'd like to see them give back and just trade back into this range that it created here from last week. Hey, again, if it does want to go higher, great. Go ahead and do that, but I would like it to rebalance lower so we can possibly look at getting some longs in there. But I think there's a very good chance we're going to trade back down, at the very least, under these lows here and possibly back into this consolidation area there. So that's what I'm looking at on USCAD. And again, that could be about 100 pips or so. If it's going to do it, it's got to get through this level here. So just watch this level here. I think if we break below that, then we can probably get down to this area here fairly comfortably. Okay, but what does this pair do after Friday's news? I don't know. I really don't. It's been trading in a range for the past 2 months, right? Since March, it's been trading in this range. So, again, it's price has been getting weaker, possibly weaker. We came up to a major area again. So we could just as easily fall below this low here. But I don't know. I'm going to hold off on the USCAD other than looking at it into this range here going into, Thursday, Friday. Australian dollar had, again, another anomaly, a trading anomaly, and I mentioned this in our members chat room last week that EurUsd, GbpUsd trending very, very nicely. USCAD and Aussie were a little off the mark because, as I said before, US dollar should have pushed most of the foreign currency pairs higher, and for the most part it did. EurUsd ran higher, GbpUsd ran higher. However, Aussie was one of the ones that didn't. We had a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday up, nice range. As I said last weekly review, price was going to run out this high here, and price is trading down in this range here when I did the recording, and we got that nice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday straight up, beautiful trading, and then we rammed back up into this area in here. I'm going to drag this price out here just so you can see that. Oops, even line. There we go. Price ran back up into this little consolidation area here on the daily and then fell off. But as the US dollar was continuing to run lower, so was Aussie, which again, I mentioned to our members that it wasn't really coupled very nicely, and therefore the markets weren't as probable as what they should be. So just to be very careful. But now we're ramming back into this consolidation range right in here, as you can see. So what do we do from here? If price breaks lower than this range, so I'm basically going to say about 63.40 I like. If we go below 63.40, that's about 60 pips lower than current location. If we trade lower than that, I think there's a good chance we're going to run these lows here and possibly get back down into this area here for the week. If we stay above that, which is what I'm looking for price to do, then I think we're going to take out this high here and possibly get up into here, because there's lots of areas up in here that I'd like them to run Aussie up into, especially if we get that weakness in the US dollar that I think is going to be coming. Then the likelihood of this trading higher is going to be a lot greater. So we'll know after this week. Again, the NFP weeks are always going to be a little bit of a crapshoot in terms of where they're at, because they typically will either set the high or the low of the months. And so what I'm hoping is that we're going to see price come down again, stay above this line here, and then shoot higher for Aussie. So we'll watch and see what happens there going into this week. And that's it for foreign currency. Finally, gold is in a bit of a range right here. We had a nice big surge up in here the last 3 weeks on gold. Really great to see. We came down once, twice, 3, 4 times into this range here. Really seeing a lot of support in here. So I'm very bullish on gold going forward, especially the weaker the US dollar is, the stronger gold's going to get. I think we're going to take out this high here. Do we do it this week, though? NFP week, very good chance. But I want to see where we're going to go here. We could dip down 1 or 2 more times, but ultimately I want to see them stay above these highs here. We could run down. Gold could bang down in here 1 more time, clearing everybody out who's trying to get long in this. Definitely watch for that this week here, and especially going into possibly this area right in here. See this consolidation range right in here? Very good chance they could run back and just one more time come below this low here. So just watch for that. I want to see some weakness early on out of the gate on gold, and come down, grab it, and then not want to go any lower than these lows here. And I say that, and I do see these lows here, so just watch these lows as well too. They're very, very clean, equal lows, so that they could want to come down underneath those lows. But I think it's unlikely, but just keep it on your charts and so you have it marked. So if we come screaming down into here, and you get long, and and it keeps going lower, and you're thinking, geez, what are they reaching for? It could be these lows here if they do come under it. So just watch that area. Very, very, very heavily traded in here. So, we'll see. It's an unlikely chance, but at the same time, you definitely want to note it on the charts. So, but again, looking for higher prices on gold. I hope we see it this week. I want to see this thing just run to the off to the moon here. In the next little while, and we can get bullish on, get into some long positions on the gold market. But as I told you guys this week here, this is not good stuff to trade in. You don't want to be trading in this consolidation yet. You want to wait for nice clear breakouts. We're going to get it very soon, so just be patient with gold. Finally, crude oil is there it is right there. It's missing on my chart. So crude oil, we had obviously the big dips from 2 weeks ago. We've traded out of that since, and price just is kind of stalling right now. So I'm hoping that we're going to see price come above these lows in here and start trading higher, but something's got to shake loose. Obviously, the economy, you got to look around the globe. Some of it is starting to come back to life. Some spots in the U.S., they're coming out of it. Some spots in Canada, this month, they're coming out of it across the pond. Obviously, in some Asian countries and over in Europe, they're all starting to slowly come out of this whole lockdown, which means people are going to be driving more, people are going to be commuting more, people are going to be flying more. Which means oil and gas demand is going to start going back up again. So it could very likely start slowly pulling this market up. However, keep in mind there is a monster surplus of inventory still sitting there. There's literally barges and barges of oil tankers at sea right now, just waiting, just sitting and waiting for the green light to come in and dump their load. So just keep that in mind. Oil, I believe, is still going to be suppressed for the next little while. I'd love it to get above 20, though, if they could. I mean, they could bang around in the 20s for the next foreseeable future. I'm talking the next, 3 months type of thing. But hopefully they'll at least pull out of this little downward spiral that they have here. I think there's a real chance we're going to come back down, though, and rebalance at the highs of these, bodies of these candles here. So about $16.70, $16.80, somewhere in there. We're currently trading at just under $19. So, for them these days to drop crude, $2.50, $3. I mean, it's nothing. They can do that in a matter of a couple hours. Have we seen in this crazy trading? So, but I'd like to see them rebalance and fail to go any lower, and then they shoot price higher. And you can see what they did. They came down, shot it lower, came back up, came lower once, just got lower than this low here, and then rocketed straight up. So. If we can stay above this 1670 level, 1650 level, and not want to go much lower than that, then I think there's a good chance then we could actually finally trade up into the 20s into crude oil. It wouldn't be terrible. You can at least get back to work doing that, and some of the oil producing companies can still make money at that. And it's not the heyday that it used to be when it was, $100 oil way back here, obviously, but at least businesses can get going again with that. So anyway, thanks for listening. I appreciate that. Again, it's going to be volatile this week, folks, so take it easy, okay? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, cap it at that. Do not trade past Wednesday this week because it's going to be pretty ugly. Just, cool your jets. It's always NFP week. It's always that way. And next week is going to be another week. The markets are going to open up again, as they always do, next Sunday. So just cool your jets this week. Don't go crazy. The other thing, maybe don't trade at all this week. That's the other option too, right? Or if you do get in the market, 20 pips, 30 pips max, per trade. Don't be shooting for the moon, 100, 120 pips, 150 pips or anything like that, because I think you're going to get hurt doing that. We could see some serious reversals in the markets this week, and you definitely don't want to get caught in it. So anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for listening, guys. And for all of our members, I will catch up to you guys in the chat room tomorrow. For everybody else, check us out at f45trading.com. We've got chat rooms, we've got signal rooms, we've got a whole lot of live reviews that happen all throughout the week, and a ton of other commentary in our traders chat room. So I think there's a ton of information for you guys to get from it. Check me out at f45trading.com if you have any other questions. Thanks very much for watching. Talk to you guys soon.